Good morning, everybody, and this is your Dow Jones day trade setup for today. So I just want to start off with the weekly because we do have a very strong area of support here. There's two areas. I just want to put both of them in quickly. So that is the area of support that we have, and I'll get to them on the lower time frames. But you can see where the buyers came in here. So, this 33,780 area is where the buyers came in. There is weekly divergence here, high, low, low, high, high, high. So there is weekly divergence. So I expect us to start falling off. And typically what you'd be doing here on the weekly is wait for these oscillators to start moving to the downside, sort of just below the 50 or onto the 50 or even all the way down to the 20 here, and then start to turn. And that's what you'll be waiting for. So this is the structure. There is a lot of support here. There is tremendous amount of support here. So it's going to take something very significant for price to break through the support that we have here on the weekly. And you can see the trend is up. Long-term trend is up. There is no debate about that. So looking at the 8-hour, we've got a crossover the moving averages. We've broken through the 155 and not much support here. It is a little bit where we are here, but I suspect we're more than likely going to be testing some levels to the downside. And there is a pretty big weekly gap here. Remember what I say, these weekly gaps often close. So there's significant, how do I put it, magnets or cause, whatever you want to say, but for price to move down to this area. So there are some valid reasons for price to move down. I'm not so keen at the moment with oscillators like they are at the moment. Every time they do this on the 8-hour, we tend to either accelerate fast or we do some kind of a big weird move back up the upside just to trigger all the stop losses and then continue falling. So it's one of the reasons why I really don't like shorting the US markets. So the reason for this is really it's not bad earnings. Earnings have been pretty spot on. Some of the investment companies have lost money trading this last quarter, which is refreshing to hear because normally we always think it's just us and it's not them. But definitely some of the banks are losing lots of money and their trading revenue is down. So and that probably because of the influx of retail traders that are trading against them. So, I think that's the one thing. And then the other thing is the bond yield is climbing. Oil prices are climbing. And as a result of that, we fear inflation fears. And now we're worried about the Fed's raising interest rates. A whole lot of little bits of noise around the Feds. And as I said in my S&P video, they remind me very much of, I think it was 2016 to 2018. Every Thursday jobs number, it was a debate of when the data comes out, is this going to impact the interest rates, or are they going to raise interest rates, or are they going to scale back, or what are they going to do? And that's pretty much where we are at the moment. So I suspect there's still going to be a lot of noise at the moment. So with that in mind, if we look at the 3-hour, if I want to be shorting this, I definitely would want to be shorting off this area here. And that is at 35,650. Do not want to be shorting down here. If we look at the hour, same thing. I definitely do not want to be shorting down here. It does look like a bit of a double bottom forming as well. Look at the oscillators. This is not an area to be shorting. So, I suspect we're either going to just continue for another day, probably target this area here, or we're going to range, attempt to get back up through 35,650, reject 35,650. That would be an area for me to add a short. Nice interesting trade, because you'll be able to do sort of a 200-point stop loss, and then if you look at that 200-point risk to almost 700-point gain for the first level, and then 1,000-point gain for the second level. But I think this gap is definitely on the cards. I mean, it's only 2% away, and this area here is an area I want to be watching for longs. Not really interested in longs where we are now, because there is not much structure to the left. So there's really not much structure to the left, which is where we're going to find support. Closest bit of structure at the moment is this area here, and that's 35,650, and we have plummeted through that yesterday. We sort of sat on it for a bit and then really plummeted through it. So if we retest that, I'd be interested in shorts targeting this area here. First area would be 34,900, and then maybe just to leave a runner or two for 34,600 area. So that's kind of my view at the moment. I'm not interested in shorting here. I need to see a pullback and back. If we do just continue to the downside, then I'm watching this area for a value buy, and possibly even increasing purchases in long-term portfolios down here on the Dow Jones. Anyway, that's kind of my view at the moment. So very much sit on hands until structure to the upside is rejected or structure to the downside is supported. Okay, hope it helps, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow morning. Cheers for now.